Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the V-Spot. So we're doing things a little bit differently this season. I want to first acknowledge the cameras in the room. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you already know. For those of you who are listening on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, let me actually fill you in. So when season 1 of the V-Spot came to a close, I asked myself, how can I up the ante for season 2? And well, here we are with cameras rolling and doing this in a completely different way. So I have some notes. I will periodically check them out. But I want to give myself permission to freestyle this a little bit differently than I anticipated when I got here tonight. So if you are joining me for the first time, I want to say welcome. For those of you who are joining me again, I want to say welcome back. For all the newbies, I suggest you go back to season 1 of the V-Spot. There was a lot of great tea dropped out there, and so catch up. So what can I tell you about myself? I want to reintroduce myself for season 2. My name is Andrea Mancuso. I am the founder of Intentional Healing and Wellness. I am the host of the V-Spot podcast. I am a coach, a mental health consultant, a mental health counselor, a facilitator, a speaker, a Brooklyn girl. And so it is with great nervousness and excitement that I reintroduce myself for season 2 and say thank you for joining me, in the V-Spot. So I created the V-Spot to highlight the power of vulnerability. And I think there's value in going back to the context that we hold here at the V-Spot. So vulnerability, lots of definitions on the internet, but we go by the context that Brene Brown holds for vulnerability. So 3 components: risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure. And I think there's value in pointing out that vulnerability is highly individualized. So what it looks like for you is not going to be what it looks like for me. And the V-Spot is really about embracing your vulnerability. Don't worry about mine, right? Don't worry about what other people want it to be for you. Step into your version of vulnerability. And so Brene Brown highlights that the great paradox of vulnerability is said to be that it's the first thing that I want to see in you, but it's the last thing that I want you to see in me. And so this podcast is really my way of pushing back on the paradox, and stepping into my vulnerability in hopes that you will step into yours. And so that's the essence of the V-Spot. So let's talk about it. We're at the start of 2022. Right? The top of the year. And I want to encourage you to really look within your own life and get a sense of what vulnerability can open up for you. So I hold it as a magical key. In my healing journey thus far, vulnerability has absolutely opened up lots of different doors. Trust, courage, authenticity, joy, which was an interesting door to open by way of vulnerability, love, and freedom. So how can one key, this is something I ask myself all the time, how can one key open up so many different doors? Right? That's what I ask myself all the time, but it does. And it involves the courage to actually use the key. And so we're at the start of 2022, and I want to encourage you to think about what doors you want to open this year. Because I believe vulnerability is going to be the answer to getting you through those doors. So think about it. Let's see, where are we? Skipping around. It's not looking the way that I anticipated that it looks. Okay, so let's move away from, like, Brene Brown speaks of risk, uncertainty, emotional exposure as the components, right? And the paradox. But that's theory, right? Let's talk about what it actually looks like in real life. And so I believe that I am my greatest testimonial when it comes to vulnerability. This entire business, my whole business, is really built on, put this over here. My entire business is built on my willingness to lean into vulnerability. So from the idea to the launch, the Conscious Conversation series, connecting with my clients, writing my small group coaching program, being here with you in this way, lives, every single aspect of my business is happening because I have leaned into trust, vulnerability, and courage, especially on the days that I didn't want to. That's actually when I leaned in the most. And so it's this idea of choosing courage over comfort. And that's something that I've talked about a lot in many different lives. Persisting in spite of fear, right? Because fear is always going to be present. It's always going to be part of the human experience. We actually need it. We need it to keep us safe. So let's say there was lions and tigers in this space. I would want fear to prompt me into taking flight so that I would be able to stay safe, right? But there's no lions and tigers here. And so what happens when we have to show up and be courageous in spite of fear under real life circumstances? So for you, maybe it's about, allowing the world to experience your work, your creative work. Or maybe it's about going on the date. Right? Maybe it's about quitting the stable 6-figure salary job in the middle of a global pandemic to pursue a vision that only you have access to. Whatever it is for you, I want you to start to think about how you will step into it in this new year, right? How will you give yourself permission to lean into vulnerability? And remember what I said, it's highly individualized. So maybe it's about having a courageous conversation with a loved one. Maybe it's about giving yourself permission to allow the world to see your art, right? Maybe it's about becoming a father. Maybe it's about becoming a wife, dating again, right? Going for the risk, going for the letting go of the job that you already outgrew. Maybe it's about stepping into the spotlight, pun intended, and allowing yourself permission to try on new things, right? To be with the risk of it all. Do you know how people will respond to you? No. Are you willing to take the risk anyway? Do you know how it's going to turn out? I didn't think this was going to turn out like this today. This is me really taking the coaching, right? Taking the coaching from somebody that I respect and letting go of what I thought it should look like. And the invitation with the V-Spot is for you to do the same. Let go of what you think it should look like and interact with risk and uncertainty and emotional exposure in a new way to unlock the doors that you want to unlock. So maybe it's about trust. Maybe it's joy for you. Maybe it's authenticity. Are you living the life that you desire? Are you giving yourself permission to be free? Are you showing up and allowing others to see you? And I'm not talking about the selfie kind of see me. I'm talking about showing up in your life and allowing the world to see you. That's what 2022 is about. That's what season 2 of the V-Spot is about. It's about stepping into our lives in a bold and courageous way. And so one of the things that I often talk about is the space between. This idea that our goals, I believe that our goals and our results, they get all of the love. And the space between, it's not really talked about that much, but the space between is the essence of our journey. It's where all of the magic happens. And so the invitation this time, right now, to you in this live is to think about, excuse me, yes, think about the goals, right? But know that they are not the point. Your goals are not the point. It's who you become in the process of achieving your goals. That's the point. So I want you to think about, what doors do you want to open up this year? I do want you to connect to that. What doors do you want to open up this month? What about this week? What doors do you want to open up today? Right? Think about that. And think about who you want to become in the process of getting there. Who do you want to be this year? I want you to declare it out loud. Write it down and declare it out loud. Who do you want to be this year? Name it. And then allow the universe to serve it to you. Because manifestation is not about declaring and then waiting for our dreams to come to us. That's not how this works. Manifestation is about declaring it, embodying the thing, and then taking the action steps to turn it out. So who do you want to be this year? A compassionate CEO? An author? An actor? A dancer? A writer? Maybe a photographer? Maybe it's about being love, perseverance, peace during a really crazy time, courage, joy. Whatever it is for you, I want you to connect to it, declare it, and then take steps to turn it out. So my call to action for everybody is to be with your version of vulnerability. Take inventory over your life. What is your relationship to vulnerability? Where is it showing up? Where is it not showing up? Because those are the parts that we want to actually shine the light on to give more attention. Those are the areas that reveal what requires us to work harder. And so will it be easy to do all of the things that I'm talking to you about? No, it will not be easy. It was not easy to be here with you today in this way. Do you know how many times I thought about canceling today? Even up to a few minutes ago when I actually revamped what it all looks like. It wasn't easy, but this work it matters to me. And so my commitment is to show up and do it anyway. So my heart's racing. My mouth's a little dry. I have a sip of water. My hands are sweating, but I'm here with you in this way because it's important to me. So that it's that fear, it's the not being able to control the outcome and showing up anyway. That's what's happening here. And that's what I want you to create in your life. So take stock. Maybe it's career. Maybe it's finances, right? Maybe it's romantic relationships. Maybe it's relationships with your family, friendships. Perhaps the greatest relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. Show up and allow yourself to be seen. That's the invitation, season 2 of the V Spot. Burn the boats, right? Let it all go. The plan, this is the plan. The plan is here. Let it all go and go about it in a completely different way, right? That's the willingness to experience fear and persist through, because it will always be part of the process. But I invite you to think about the doors and the fact that vulnerability is the key. Which doors do you want to open this year? What are you looking to create for you? Because if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that tomorrow isn't promised. And so I'm excited to be here, going about things in a new way. I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm excited, I'm grateful. And I'm inviting you to come on this journey with me, right? So season 1, if you were with me, thank you. And for those of you joining me in this way, let's do it. I said it in the first episode of season 1. Buckle up, or don't, and come along for a crazy, crazy ride. And I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go this season. Excuse me, clearly. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go this season. But I do promise you one thing. It will absolutely be an enjoyable, scenic route. So between my individual episodes and the guests that I bring in to share with you, it's my hope that something cracks open for you and you step into your vulnerability in a new way. And yeah, let's do this thing. Let's do it. It's always better together. So thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of season 2 of the V Spot. And I look forward to where we're going to go together. Good night, everybody. To be continued.